The slave girl in chains. The suns of Outpost Targo burned hot above the trade station. Dust blew across the landing zone as small ships came and went. Traders shouted, soldiers watched, and deals were made in the shadows. Darren Holt, a human salvage. Pilot stood beside his ship, the Rustjaw, arguing with a thick-skinned alien merchant. "I fixed your hypercore," Darren said, wiping sweat from his brow. "That wasn't an easy job," the alien merchant grunted. Yes, fast work, but I have no credits." Darren's eyes narrowed. "Then we have a problem." The alien smiled, sharp teeth flashing. No problem. I pay with something. Else." He snapped his claws. Two guards dragged something forward, a girl in chains. She looked young, maybe 19 by human standards. Her skin was smooth silver blue. Her hair was white and tied with worn threads. Her eyes, a soft violet, stared at the ground. Not crying, not scared, just silent. "This," the alien said proudly, "is a worker. Quiet, obeys, barely eats, no voice, silence implant." Darren stepped back. "You're trying to pay me with a slave?" The merchant shrugged. "Legal on this moon. Take her, or no deal." Other traders nearby laughed. "Look at the human's face. Soft-hearted Earthman can't handle a simple gift. She's useless, that's why he's giving her away." Darren's jaw tightened. He looked at the girl again. She didn't flinch, didn't beg, didn't speak. Only her eyes moved, slowly, meeting, his for a second, and in that second, something passed between them. Not fear, not hate, just a quiet spark. "I'll take her," Darren said. The crowd cheered. The merchant clapped. Chains were dropped into his hands, but Darren didn't smile. He simply turned, guided the girl gently up his ramp and closed the ship door behind them. Inside the Rustjaw, the noise faded. Only the hum of the engines remained. He led her to the small cargo bay and sat her down on a crate. "All right," he said quietly. "First thing..." He bent and unlocked her chains. They clattered to the floor. She didn't move. "Second thing," he said, walking to the storage shelf. "You're not a slave on this ship. I don't believe in that garbage." He pulled out a small bottle of water and handed it to her. She looked at it, then at him, and took it, slowly, still silent. He sat down across from her. "What's your name?" No answer. He pointed to himself. "Darren." She stared, then lowered her eyes. He sighed. "All right, no problem. You don't have to talk." He stood up. "There's a small bed in the back. Use it. Don't worry. You're safe here." He turned, to walk away, then stopped, looked back. "Whoever you are, you didn't deserve to be treated like that." Over the next few days, the girl stayed quiet. She ate the food he gave her. She cleaned the ship without being told. And once, just once, Darren found her sitting in the cockpit, staring at the stars. She turned when she saw him. He didn't say anything, just nodded. She nodded back. Then came the strange moment. Darren was repairing a sensor cable. It was tricky. Too many wires packed tight in a small panel. He stepped away to get a tool. When he came back, the cable was fixed perfectly. He blinked. "What the..." He checked the work. It was clean, efficient, better than he could have done. He turned toward the hallway. She stood there, quiet, watching. "You did this?" he asked. She didn't move. Then, just for a moment, she tilted her head slightly. That night, Darren sat alone in the cockpit. He couldn't stop thinking. Who was she really? She didn't act like a slave. She moved like someone trained, her hands precise, her eyes calm, focused. And that fix on the cable? That wasn't luck, that was knowledge. He looked at the stars. "She's not just some quiet girl," he muttered. "She's something else." He didn't know it yet, but the silent girl sleeping in the back of his ship, she wasn't just a slave, she was a princess in hiding, and the galaxy would soon learn her name. More than she seems. The Rustjaw flew silently through deep space. Inside the ship, the stars passed slowly across the front window like distant candles, but Darren's eyes weren't on the stars anymore. They were on her. The girl, still silent, now moved freely through the ship. Not once had she tried to escape. Not once had she caused trouble. She cleaned, sorted, and even prepped gear that Darren hadn't touched in weeks, and every time he watched her hands, he saw it. Precision, focus, discipline. One morning, Darren walked into the engine room and froze. The diagnostic panel, a mess of error codes the day before, was now clear. He hadn't touched it, but someone had. He turned slowly. She was there, wiping oil from her fingers. He stepped closer. "You fixed this?" She didn't nod, didn't blink, just stood still, but in her eyes, something flickered. A quiet challenge. Later that night, Darren sat in his bunk, turning a small data chip in his fingers. He had been keeping notes, observations. Knows tool names in English, moves like a soldier, not a slave. Fixes advanced tech with no instruction. Avoids speaking because of implant, or something else. He glanced at the door. She was out there now, resting in the crew chair near the comm station where she liked to sit. He had offered her the bed again. She had politely refused. He didn't know why, but it felt like discipline, not fear. The next day, something strange happened. A patrol ship hailed them, unmarked, but clearly scanning hard. "Private freighter Rustjaw. State your cargo," the voice said. Darren answered through the mic. "Independent salvage. 2 passengers. No cargo. Prepare for scan." The line went quiet. Zari appeared behind him. She touched his arm, then pointed to the side panel. "The signal dampener." Darren blinked. "You want me to activate stealth mode?" She nodded. "Quick, urgent." He flipped the switch. The screen blinked. "Rustjaw, your signal just dropped." "Explain." Darren kept calm. "Power surge. We'll reset." The ship paused, then pulled away. No questions. No fire. Gone. Darren turned to her. "You saved us." She said nothing, just lowered her hand. But her eyes, they were watching everything, not like a lost girl, like someone trained to read threats before they strike. That night he brought out a language slate. He typed, "Can you read this?" She took the pad, typed back, "Yes," then added, "Can't. Speak. Chip blocks. Painful." He frowned. "Want me to remove it?" She stared for a moment, then typed, "Not yet." For days after that, they communicated in short words, but each time she typed, he noticed her grammar was perfect. Her answers were smart, short, but clever. She learned faster than anyone he'd ever met. One line stuck with him. "I don't fix for you. I fix because broken things shouldn't stay broken." One evening, as Darren ran a routine scan on his nav system, she walked in quietly. She watched for a while, then stepped forward. He moved aside. "Want to try?" She took the controls, and in 30 seconds, rerouted the course through a fuel-efficient pocket he didn't know existed. He stared. "How do you know that?" She typed slowly. "Studied star maps. All royal fleets use these paths." Darren froze. "Royal." He looked at her. She looked away. Too late. He had seen it. He stepped closer. His voice was soft. "You're not who they said you were." She didn't respond. "You're not a slave. You're not just a mechanic. You know strategy, engineering, navigation." Still silence. Then slowly she typed one final line. "They wanted me erased. I survived." And then she powered off the pad. Darren sat in the pilot's seat long after she left the room. His mind raced. She wasn't just more than she seemed. She was something dangerous, something powerful. But she hadn't hurt him. She'd saved him, twice, and that meant only one thing. She wasn't hiding from him. She was hiding with him. The silent voice of royalty, the Rustjaw, floated through the dark side of a gas moon, its hull quiet, its crew even quieter. Inside the ship, Darren Holt watched her again. this time not as a mystery, but as a question he needed answered. She sat, in the corner of the engine room, cross-legged, eyes closed like she was meditating. No light, no movement, just peace. But Darren knew better now. This girl wasn't a slave. She was something else, and the galaxy had nearly buried her truth. Later that night, the comm lights blinked. A message came through, encrypted, alien frequency. The screen flickered once. A symbol appeared. Darren didn't recognize it, but when she walked into the cockpit and saw it, she froze. Her hands shook. For the first time since he met her, she looked afraid. He stepped forward. "What is it?" She didn't. "Move on, Zari." She slowly reached out, turned off the screen, and typed on the datapad. "That symbol belongs to the Royal Fleet." He read the words out loud. "Royal? House Velcor. My house." Darren's breath caught in his throat. "You mean..." She typed slower this time. "I am Zarentha Velcor. First daughter, heir." He sat down heavily. The pieces began to click. Her education, her confidence, her skills, her silence. It was a coup, wasn't it? He whispered. She nodded. "Poisoned on my naming day. Bodyguards smuggled me out. They thought I died. A traitor found me. Sold me." Silence Chip forced. Darren leaned forward. "That merchant, he didn't know." "No. To him I was trash." He looked into her eyes and saw pain, not just the pain of silence, but the pain of being forgotten by her own blood. He stood. "I'm getting that chip out." She looked up, alarmed. He held up his hand. "Not a request. You deserve your voice." She blinked once, then slowly typed. "I'm afraid." He knelt beside her. "So am I, but we do this together." They prepped the medbay in silence. Darren studied the chip's wiring under a scanner. It was embedded just below her neck, linked to the base of her brain. Old design, alien tech, meant to shut down speech, painfully, on command. It was cruel. And careful, but he was careful too. The procedure took 20 minutes. Darren's hands never shook once. When it was over, she lay still on the table, breathing hard. He touched her arm. "It's out." She nodded, then opened her mouth. Nothing came at first. Just air. Then, deep, da, rin. Her voice was broken, dry, but real. He stared. She smiled weakly. "You heard me." He nodded, tears quietly forming in his eyes. "I did." She tried again. Thank you." He chuckled. "You've got nothing to thank me for." But her next word stopped him. "No one has ever seen me, not even my own people. You looked, and you didn't turn away." Darren helped her sit up. "You're not going back, are you?" She shook her head. "No, not yet." He leaned against the wall. "Well, princess, what do you want to do now?" She tilted her head. "No crown, no throne, not now. First, I want to fly." The next day, she sat in the co-pilot's chair. She didn't need chains. She didn't need permission. She needed only the stars and someone to listen. Her real name was hidden. The rust jaw hummed as it drifted through a quiet sector, far from patrol, routes, and trade lines. Inside the ship, something far louder than the engines was happening. Zari was speaking. Not much, not easily, but each word was a rebellion against the silence that had caged her for so long. Darren sat across from her in the galley, a steaming cup of synth tea in his hand. "You really designed flight paths for royal warships?" Zari nodded, voice still soft but clear. "Yes. As a child, I memorized over 1,000 routes. By 13, I improved the escort formations for palace cruisers." He leaned back. "And they sold you for scrap." She looked down. "To hide the shame. My family feared weakness." Darren's voice dropped. "They feared your strength." Later in the workshop, she stood beside him. not as a servant but as a co-pilot helping rewire the navigational matrix. She spoke without being asked, calm, sharp. Switch these two lines. The blue runs too hot in combat turns. He raised a brow. You sure? She glanced at him. I learned fleet design from the same admiral who bombed 7 moons in 1 week. I'm sure. He grinned. Yes, Your Highness. She frowned. Don't call me that. He straightened up. Sorry. She paused, then smiled. Unless we're surrounded by people I need to scare. That night, Darren found a nameplate. In an old locker, blank metal, faded. He walked into the cockpit and handed it to her. Want to put your name on it? She stared at it, then nodded. But instead of Zarentha Velcor, she carved just one word. Zari. In the next few days, they flew into unknown sectors, chasing signals and scavenging what they could. But something had changed. She wasn't just following anymore. She was leading. In one derelict freighter, Darren moved to enter first. Zari stopped him. Too quiet. Look there. Metal dust pattern. That door was opened recently. Darren checked. She was right. A pirate trap. They rerouted and left with fuel instead of bullets. Another day they docked at a neutral station. Darren noticed something, whispers. Aliens looking at Zari too long. One even stepped closer. Nice catch, human. You selling her? Darren didn't answer. Zari did. Touch me, and I'll make your species forget how to breed. The alien blinked and backed off. Back aboard the Rust Jaw, Darren shook his head. You're terrifying, she shrugged. Sometimes, that's all they understand. He turned to her seriously. You've saved my life more than once now. Why keep flying with me? Her answer was quiet. Because you didn't see a slave. He looked at her. She added, You saw a person, even before I remembered how to be one. The next morning, Zari called him to the console. Look, a royal distress frequency had been cracked wide. Someone from her house had sent out a fake death report about her. Darren leaned in. They want the galaxy to believe you're gone for good. She looked at him. Calm. Controlled. But now I can choose when and how I come back. He nodded slowly. You're not hiding anymore, are you? She smiled. No, just planning. And somewhere, across royal networks and secret channels, signal pulsed, not loud, not fast, but steady. It carried no name. Only one old symbol, the crest of House Velcor. And with it, a silent warning. She lives. And this time, she chooses her own future. The hunter ships arrive. The warning came in the middle of a quiet meal. The Rust Jaw's comm panel lit up red, an untagged ship approaching fast, silent but sharp. Too fast for a trader. Too quiet for a merchant. Zari looked up before the alert finished, sounding. She already knew. They found me. Darren Holt dropped his fork. He rushed to the console and scanned the signal. The ship had no name, no registration, but its flight pattern was military, tight and aggressive. Zari walked up behind him, voice steady, hunter class, modified for pursuit, royal tech, stolen after the coup. He turned to her. They're from your own house? She nodded once. They were trained to protect me. Now they're trained to erase me. Darren's hand hovered near the hyperdrive switch. Should we jump? Zari didn't answer right away. Her eyes locked on the scanner. Then she stepped forward, activated the tactical overlay, and began adjusting the ship's path. No jump. They'll follow our warp trail. She looked at him. We fly into the debris field instead. Darren blinked. That place is a graveyard. Navigation's impossible. Zari tapped on the star map. Exactly. Which means they'll assume we won't risk it. He grinned slowly. You're dangerous when you think, she replied softly. I've had years in silence to learn how. They changed course. Fast. The Rustjaw dove toward the Eridon field, a swirling cloud of broken satellites, war wrecks, and asteroid fragments. Behind them, the hunter ship followed, but it hesitated. A second ship appeared on the scanner. Zari's, Face changed. 2 hunters now, they're bracketing us. Darren frowned. What's the plan? Zari turned to him, calm as ever. We don't outrun them. She pointed to the wreck map. We use their training. Against them. 10 minutes later, the Rustjaw powered down everything. Lights, thrusters, heat. Then drifted silently through the debris. Darren whispered, You sure this works? Zari's voice was low, but firm. Yes. These ships rely on sensor lock, but they can't lock on what looks like space junk. She leaned forward. And we're junk now. Outside, the hunter ship scanned the wreckage. One passed within 300 meters of the Rustjaw. Zari watched it through the hull window, silent, still, holding her breath. Its search beam flickered, paused, then moved on. After 5 more tense minutes, the ships pulled away. Zari gave the signal. Darren reignited the engines, softly, and angled the ship into a drift toward a hidden mining tunnel inside a large asteroid. They hid inside for hours. When it was safe, Darren turned to her. That was brilliant. She didn't smile. Instead, she sat down slowly. They sent assassins to erase me, my own people. He said nothing. She looked at him, and for the first time in days, her voice trembled. I wasn't scared of dying. I was scared of dying without ever using my voice to fight back. Darren stepped closer. You just fought back, Zari. She looked at him. Not enough. That night she built something new. Her own signal beacon, small, encrypted, and set to send one message out across black space. I'm not gone. I'm not hiding. I'm coming back. Zari. Darren watched her program it in silence. Then he asked, What happens when they hear this? She stood, tall in the glow of the screen. Then they'll come again. He waited. And, this time? He asked. She turned to him. Her voice was no longer soft. This time, I'll be waiting. The throne wants her back. The message came 3 days after the broadcast. It wasn't a threat. It was a welcome. The encryption was old, pre-coup royal code. But Zari cracked it in seconds. Darren watched her eyes as the message unfolded. At first, she looked cautious, then stunned, then conflicted. He leaned over her shoulder. What is it? Zari's voice was low. A rebel faction, loyal to my family. They believed I was dead. And now? They want me to return? Darren crossed his arms. To reclaim the throne? Zari shook her head. No, to burn the one who stole it. The ship they sent was small, sleek, and royal grade, nothing like the junkers that chased her before. It docked with the Rustjaw without weapons. 3 envoys stepped onto the deck. All knelt the moment they saw her. Princess Zarentha, your empire needs you. Zari didn't speak right away. She didn't need to. They saw the fire in her eyes. The leader, a tall woman with golden skin, stepped forward. We have forces. We have ships. All we need is your face. Zari looked at her carefully. And what would I be? Queen, the envoy said. Zari blinked slowly. Or weapon. The room fell silent. Darren, standing off to the side, watched the tension build. He had seen this story before, on other worlds, in other wars. Hope twisted into power, and power twisted into chains, even golden ones. That night, Zari stood at the Meeb viewing deck staring into the stars. Darren walked up quietly. You don't have to decide now, he said. She nodded. But I will. He looked at her profile. Strong, calm, but still holding pain. They want you to come back as a sword, he said. She turned to him. I'm tired of being a weapon. She paused, then said what she'd never said before. I want to return, not to rule, but to rebuild. The next day she met with the envoys again. They stood straight, ready to serve. Zari faced them with quiet command. If I return, it won't be to reclaim a title. They looked at each other. She continued. We will end slave markets, permanently. We will build new schools for outcasts and silenced minds. We will repair ships for refugees, not nobles. And I will not sit on any throne unless the people choose me themselves. The envoys hesitated, then slowly nodded. The golden-skinned leader bowed again. Then you are not just our ruler. You are our answer. Later, on the bridge of the Rustjaw, Darren sat beside her, flipping switches for departure. So, what's next? He asked. Zari fastened her belt and leaned back. Now we go where the pain is loudest, where the shadows are deepest, and we light it up. He grinned. That almost sounds like royalty. She smiled, small but sharp. No, that sounds like justice. And across the galaxy, people who had once whispered her name now said it loud. Zari is alive. She's not here for power. She's here to fix what we broke. And for the first time, the galaxy was ready to listen. She chose the human. The palace was rebuilt, but not restored. The gold was removed. The slaves were freed, and the banners now flew lower, closer to the people. Because Zari didn't want to rule above anyone. She wanted to stand beside them. The hall was full. Leaders from 100 worlds, voices from forgotten sectors, survivors of the old rule and dreamers of a better one. Zari stood at the center, no crown, no robe, only her name and her truth. She had been offered it all: power, empire, revenge. But now, the galaxy waited for her answer. She looked to her right. Darren Holt stood silently at the edge of the dais, same jacket, same grease-stained boots. Same man who took a slave as payment and instead found a partner. She met his eyes. He gave a small nod. Nothing more. That was enough. Zari turned to the crowd. Her voice was steady, strong. I was given away like junk, found by a man with no throne, no army. But he saw me before anyone remembered who I was. And now I stand here not as a ruler, but as a voice. The room listened like the stars had gone quiet. I will not take this throne unless you allow me to break it first, to rebuild a seat for many, not one, a council of minds, not bloodlines. Gasps. Some smiles, some protests. Zari raised her hand. And I choose one voice to stand at my side. Not because of blood, but because of choice. The human who gave me back my name. She turned and extended her hand. Darren Holt, will you build the future with me? The room fell still. Darren stared, everyone stared. He took a step, then another, and without a word, he took her hand. Not like a prince, not like a subject, but like an equal. The galaxy blinked. The old nobles whispered. The young dreamers cheered, and across 1,000 systems, messages lit up. The princess chose the human. A throne broken by kindness. This is not a new rule. It's a new beginning. That night, on the palace roof, Zari and Darren stood under the stars once more. He looked at her. You could have had it all, she smiled. I already do. He paused. You sure you want me in the middle of all this? Zari stepped closer. You're not in the middle. She took his hand. You're the reason it all began. And far from the lights, in dark corners, of space where slaves still wept and the broken still hid, hope was born again, not from war, not from blood, but from a human and a girl once chained, who chose each other and changed everything.